Welcome to A Way Forward. My name is Maaria. I am your host. My guest today is going to help us think about a way forward when it comes to cybersecurity in today's world and fostering inclusivity in the tech industry. Yasmin Abdi is a distinguished technical advisor specializing in security, privacy, and data protection. Notably, Yasmin co-founded Mimo, an AI-powered social finance app that was acquired by Coinbase for, get ready for it, $95 million. Today, she's the founder and CEO of NoHack, a cybersecurity solutions firm. Yasmin actively works to bridge the gap between minority students and tech companies, empowering the next generation of cybersecurity professionals. Welcome to A Way Forward, Yasmin.
Thank you for having me.
So let me ask you, I was really moved learning about your story, your parents' story and your childhood. And I think that's where all of our journeys begin, right? We're shaped by our childhood. And I'd love if you could share an origin story with the audience of however you want to frame it for all of us.
Gosh, where do I begin? I'm very tied to my roots and, my upbringing shapes how I move in the world today. So, it would behoove me if I didn't walk in that way. My parents were born and raised in Somalia, and immigrated here through just like the turbulence and just the chaos and civil war that happened in Somalia back in maybe the 1980s. And for me, that really shapes just how I maneuver in the world. So Somali American, I was actually born here in America. So I think there's been like some misconception of if I was born there or here. So I was actually born here. I didn't flee civil war, but I think through the stories of my parents and just hearing their upbringing is really inspired me to just give back to the country. So I go back frequently. I'm very tied to my motherland. One of my lifelong goals is to kind of help bring up the country. So Somali American, grew up here in America, was born in New Jersey, grew up in Virginia, went to University of Maryland, but I'm probably spending 50% of my time in America, 50% of my time back home these days.
Oh, wow.
So
that identity of being American and Somalian, that merging, how has it enriched your experience of how you move through the spaces that we're about to talk about professionally?
Yeah, it's been challenging just because you don't see anyone like us here, whether that be Somali American, whether that be woman, whether that be Black, especially in tech and then even smaller in cybersecurity. So I've always felt kind of alone. I've always felt like I was carrying the weight of the world of like Somalia on my back, just because being that only person in the room is just, it's hard. It's definitely hard. It's hard, but it also makes me want to go harder just because I see the strength and the resilience of the people from Somalia, but it's like sometimes they might not have the opportunities, the network, the connection, that access. So that's kind of like been my lifelong motto. Cybersecurity, is great. I love it, pays the bills, but honestly, it's really just helping bring opportunities back for my people. So definitely been a siloed experience.
When you are siloed in environments like that, what really, really helps is you being passionate about what you're doing. It kind of keeps you going because it's not like the huge community or the peer network that looks and feels and resonates with you with the same opinions. So where did this passion for technology start for you in your childhood? Was it your childhood or?
Yeah, so being Somali, being African at that, and I think it's even a broader, maybe more countries feel the same way or more continents, but you only have three options. So when you go to school, you either have to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer. So for me, I knew that I didn't really care for the healthcare business. I'm scared of needles. I hate blood. So that was X'd out. Law was fascinating. And I always say if I wasn't an engineer, I would definitely be an attorney. Like I love reading about law, but I didn't want to read and write all day. So the last option was obviously technology. And for me, like growing up, I always would like just play around with devices, take them apart, My parents actually like would lock down the Wi-Fi system at a certain time at night and like turn off the TV, like put passwords and stuff on TVs at a certain point and lock certain channels. So for me, I was always like, no, I'm going to figure out how to break into this. Like, I want to watch TV at 10 p.m. Like, I want to be able to use the internet at 10 p.m. So, yeah, I think that's kind of how it started. It was like, just like curiosity, fascination. I don't know. My mind just can't sit still sometimes. So I always have to do something. I always need to be active and staying busy. So during my childhood, I would take things apart, play with things, and then over the years, I started getting really good at it. I hacked into my first phone. I think it was around like 17. That was really cool. And then I went to college and they were like, oh, like what you've been doing is like cybersecurity. And I was like, oh, like, so maybe I should study that. So then I studied cybersecurity in college and the rest is history.
That is so fascinating, Yasmin, because honestly, the jump from being a tech major and focusing on cybersecurity and being a young girl just breaking stuff open like as if it was a toy and then seeing how pieces go together. It's so fascinating for me to hear because for people that are not in tech, it seems like so unapproachable. And I love the fact, like, I'm imagining a young girl just breaking stuff open, like, to make it as simple as that for someone to be like, look, tech is not like this. I don't speak this language. My mind doesn't work this way. It's literally dive in, break up the machine, and figure out how these pieces work. Is that how you would explain it?
1000%. And I think that's the biggest thing today, right? It's people overcomplicate, over communicate what tech actually is or cybersecurity actually is. They think it's someone sitting, first of all, they think it's a white man sitting in the basement of their parents' house hacking into a computer like, with lines of zeros and ones at like 5 a.m., like eating Chipotle. And like, that's just not what it is. Like, it's just not, that's not what it is at all. For me, it just really starts like with curiosity. Like, I think the most important skill is like critical thinking. Like, okay, if you have a phone device, right? Like, and you take it apart, are you going to start asking questions? Like, what are these different pieces? Like, how do they come together? How do they work? What do they mean? I'm always just thinking about those things. So for me, like 10, 15 years ago when I hacked into the phone, I was like, oh, so how did that actually work? And like, why didn't it work like that? And if that worked like that, then why did that happen? So like, I don't know. I just think people like lack that skill, which is like the most important skill.
It's interesting because I do get concerned, like the curiosity that you are defining as a child and as a young person. I do get concerned about that curiosity eroding because of whether it be AI or whether it be the amount of time that young kids and teenagers are on devices, the opportunity to critically think and break things apart and deduce is removed because they are entertained.
Yeah, I agree. I think AI is so beneficial for the world and obviously can move mountains, but you still have to have that critical thinking
Right.
skill. And there's like this thing that I've been saying recently that the people who use AI that critically think are going to get so much further and faster than those who ask AI to think for you, right? Like, you're not going to go to ChatGPT and ask them a question. Like, you should have already come up with the answer, the solution. You're asking maybe to redefine it. It's sad, but I mean, it's like the gap of the middle between those who critically think and use AI to move forward versus those who are using AI to think. This gap is going to become so much larger,
Yeah.
and it's going to be scary to see.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful, Yasmin, though, because what you're displaying is this argument that everybody has, you know? So you have all these CEOs, such as yourself, you're a CEO of a tech company. You have CEOs taking the platforms, taking the stage, and saying AI is going to replace the human capital. Like AI is going to, replace all of these jobs. And they're speaking and demonstrating the power of AI because they are AI CEOs. So it's like you're championing AI, but you're at the same time diminishing the power of human capacity. And so for you to say at the end of the day, we still need humans is like a powerful thing to hear from an AI CEO because you are basically saying you can use AI to help you, but only if the humans are working at their highest potential themselves. They cannot replace the human capital, correct?
Exactly.
Okay. It's a very different message. Your message is very different, actually.
Yeah, spot on. And I think just to that point, it's like you'll have all these AI CEOs speak about it in that way because obviously that's their business and that's their branding. But I think if you really just take it apart, kind of what I was just saying about like that gap getting a lot larger, AI is great and I'm a strong component and a huge fan, but it's not going to be your brain at the end of the day. Like you have to still be able to critically think. You still have to like have those problem solving skills. AI came out what 5, 7 years ago? Like it's what were we doing 15, 20, 30 years ago, right? So
Well, I mean, look, I'm a person of faith too, right? So I'm a person of faith. So if you're telling me that humans can create something more powerful than the brain, I'm going to challenge that, right? Because I believe humans does not create the brain. So I think that is also a larger discussion. I mean, understanding the limitations of it and understanding the power of the human capacity and its genius. You spoke about being in a silo and being one of the only women that was African and Black at some of these meetings and these boardrooms, and as you're developing this brilliant tech. You have made it a mission yourself to open up doors and encourage younger people to see themselves there. And there's this beautiful quote from you, and I'm going to paraphrase, so please, I apologize, but it's in BBC Somali, and it basically says that what you want to accomplish, you can. An environment is there for you. It's there for the taking. You can go and you can make these things happen. And this is a message for young girls. And it's something I say to kids as well, that every turf is your turf. That is my mission in life, to tell kids every turf is your turf. How have you used your position, your resources, your experience to inspire these girls? What avenues have you opened up for them?
honestly, sometimes I think like being a triple minority, being Black, also Muslim. So being Black,
Yeah.
a woman and Muslim, it's just like you have all odds against you. Every card is not dealt in your
Right.
favor. Being that I mentioned earlier, only one in my classes and these meetings and these boardrooms, executive conferences, etc. It's just really hard because you feel like you don't have community. And those feelings that I had, I knew I didn't want other people to face or feel like. So I just made it my mission to, lift as you climb. That's one of my quotes. I thought you were going to use that one because I say it every single podcast and that panel conference that I can. But no, I really truly feel it. So that could mean a lot of things in a lot of ways. Like, spending 30 minutes with someone just to help guide them on what direction to take, or like actually having mentees, or, interview prepping someone, or helping someone in a job application, whatever that is, or just guiding someone in life. So I think for me, like, I can't change it all and it's not going to change overnight, but what I can do is like be intentional with trying. So that's just been something that I take really near and dear to my heart, just because like I went through it, don't want anyone else to go through it. And I do want to see more people like me in these spaces. Like I want to find community still.
Yeah.
If I want something, you just got to go out and make it happen.
Well, it's so interesting because I do think people that have built and that have been in experiences where there's been challenges are the best mentors. It's not the people that have gotten fast passes and that have gotten just kind of like easy access to different places. It's people that have built and knock on doors, because those mentors, just like yourself, can see a young girl or a young boy and be like, I know how this feels. I totally know how this feels. And I'm going to say to you what I wish someone said to me. You're right. Like 30 minutes can change people's minds and perspectives. You said something earlier about false narratives and misconceptions about different things, right? And sometimes the language that we hear, like you said, it's very lonely, and you have three strikes against you. But the three strikes against you are not because you're Black, you're African, and you're a woman, and you're Muslim, four strikes. It's because there are false narratives about all those four categories, right? So it's like what people want to say about women in tech, what people want to say about Blacks in tech, what people want to say about Africans in tech, what people want to say about Muslims. It's narratives that are created, and those are what you're fighting against and what you're up against. So I think the language part is so important, like what language you believe, what language you internalize, right? And so what language did you use as you navigated now becoming a founder of your company now? Like what language did you use to navigate these power structures to actually become a founder and approach investors and have them buy in and be like, this is a winner. This person is a winner.
I think, right, so it just comes to bottom line, like, do you know what you're talking about, irrespective of like who you are, like all the different categories that you just mentioned, like, are you credible in this space? Like that, no one can take away from you, and no one can question or challenge you. Like, so are you coming to these conversations, these interviews, these pitches or whatever, prepared, well versed, and educated on that topic? So for me, I kind of just like really honed in on becoming a subject matter expert, becoming very, very, very educated in that space, forward thinking about what questions investors were going to ask, just staying 10 toes, always ready to go. And let the work speak for itself. You know, I battle with it every day still. Like it's like something that is literally who I am as a person. I walk outside, I'm a Black woman. Like it's very obvious. For those that are listening that are still in corporate, it's showing up to those meetings, really not half-assing it and knowing what you're doing. I think a lot of times people don't understand, or people try to shortcut and just, maneuver and, only give 25%, 30, 40%. But it's like, if you really want to get to these spaces, like you have to be the person that can answer any question about whatever it is. Like they can ask you A to Z, 1 to 100, and then also forward thinking, right? So it's just like, okay, you're here today, but like, what about in 5 years? What about in 10 years? And did you think about this? And how would this codependency here, how does it interlock with this thing? So cybersecurity is in everything. So for me, I just always think about like a global perspective, but just always being well versed and being very educated on whatever it is that you're speaking on has been my strategy.
And so, right, really, excellence can't be ignored.
And that's why, like, well, I have a lot of people that I look up to, but I think Kobe Bryant every day after practice would still stay back and shoot like 1,000 free throws or something. Like he would just be in the gym just practicing and practicing and practicing even after practice. It was like 1,000, I think was the number. And it's like that's just like a great example of someone perfecting their craft. So for me, it's like, yeah, people work really hard to get to where they are when they become at that level, but they work extremely hard. Like they don't just work out for 2 hours a day. Like they're training for like 12 hours a day. And then now they hit the game winning shot in the championship, but that just didn't come overnight. Like they've been practicing for decades to get that shot. So.
Right. There's a really good phrase, confidence comes from competence and competence comes from experience. So one thing that you said about cybersecurity, and this is a quote from you too, is that it can have an impact on communities. It can help a lot and it can impact communities. It can also counter disinformation, false information. So I think I'd be interested in really getting your take on how cybersecurity and having access to cybersecurity, large minority communities, and also countries, countries and governments, specifically with the backset of Africa being the new market. Like there's a huge market that everyone wants to invest in now because I think it's a very young demographic of tech users, right? And it's like growing. So just when you're seeing false narratives in the media, you're seeing disinformation that result in policies that can really harm communities. How does cybersecurity play a role that can be positive, especially if you're giving access to communities and how to navigate it to their benefit?
Yeah, so cybersecurity is engraved in all different parts of the world and society, community, etc. So I think for me, like it's gonna be in everyone's life, whether they know it or not, like it or not. But I think your point around the disinformation, cybersecurity, especially with AI, like there's deep fakes and there's clones and all this stuff. So I think it's actually bringing a lot of awareness to the community, which gets me really excited because if you see an AI version of yourself online, you'll be like, wait, that's not me. How did this happen? Why isn't someone taking this down? This is fake, right? So it's just like it gets people starting to think about misinformation, disinformation, trust, security, privacy, and all these things.
And honesty, facts.
Yeah. So for me, I actually take it on that approach. I'm like, oh, like the misinformation, disinformation, if it's not harmful, which I mean, most times it is, but like it'll get people to start thinking about and start questioning and challenging what's being posted. I've seen so many AI videos of me. And like my mom even sent me one like a few months ago. She's like, why are you telling people this? And I'm like, that's literally not me. That's like not me. So
Yeah.
even it's actually bringing education and awareness to the community, which could be looked at in a positive light. So that's kind of how I would approach it.
There's a movement and policy to deal with deep fakes, and especially for women and young girls. I saw Paris Hilton be part of a press conference, and I think it's called the Defiance Act that AOC is leading. So I think these are good opportunities in education pieces and also media literacy. Like that's something I'm passionate about, having media literacy in schools, and we've made it mandated it in Illinois in public schools. I love the policy work, but really policy is effective if the individual on the ground can use it and effectively understand it. So for the person that you said, for example, your mom said there's videos of you out there and you're someone that's savvy and you can understand and you have thick skin, right? So you have a way to respond. How does an average person who sees a deep fake video and a fake image, how would you tell them to navigate this?
I would just start off by like having them understand the difference between like what a real video versus like what the deep fake is. Like I think just going to the basis of like like kind of what I was saying earlier, like how did we even get here? Like what even is a deep fake? Like what does that mean? How is it created? Why do people use it? What is the purpose of it? Like I think just foundational understanding is like super important, especially in today's world. So I would kind of just start there, and then like once they learn about it, maybe they'll, get interested in more in AI and then cyber, and then now we'll have a bunch of cybersecurity people all over.
You touched on your roots and you touched on your background. All of us are shaped by our childhood, as we stated. We're also shaped by our culture, our faith, what our family, what our parents teach us, the language, the terms that they use to tell us who we are, right? Clearly, you've been successful. Clearly, you are living out loud your best ambitions, and you're reaching it. And inshallah, God willing, you will continue to do that. So I define it and see it as excellence. And I want to know how your Somalian culture, your Somalian background, your Somalian values, your parents' lessons and the words that they use or how they encouraged you, how that has contributed to your excellence. And then we can talk about how that translates for every other person, no matter what background and culture, that the lessons they can learn from you.
Gosh, that was powerful. Oh my God, I like want to shed a tear. I think, gosh, there's a lot of lessons that my parents instilled in me growing up. I think the first is around just being a good, kind person. Like, I think that goes so far. And can get you places that you wouldn't even expect. I think kindness is a trait and a quality and a skill that like we really need to push forward more. I think going back to something I said earlier around lifting as you climb, for me, I'm such a community oriented person. Like if I have something I like want to share with my neighbor, the next person next to me, and I know how much community has gotten me so through life. And, a lot of the opportunities I didn't get by myself, it was either someone introduced me to it or like, so for me, it's always just been around like community oriented, like very much truly community oriented. And that's why I spent a lot of my free time that I don't even have now, but like a lot of my free time, really just trying to give back and do the things that I can for the community. Right. So I would say kindness, community. And then I think the last is just being optimistic and just being like glass half full type of person. There's just so much negativity in the world. There's so much misinformation. There's so much disinformation. So just being like that light and just always thinking positively, because I'm very faith oriented as well. And I think that God is the best planner. So I think whatever is meant to happen happens, and then whatever lesson you're supposed to learn from it. Like I've had so many failures. I've had so many failures. I've had so many nights where I'm crying in my room that no one sees because no one talks about it, right? So I think for me, it's just like everything happens for a reason, but just always stay optimistic and, think about the positive. What the positivity that comes from whatever you're learning.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. One last question I'm going to ask you is to recognize and understand the brilliance of other cultures and other people is a value and a mission for a multicultural society. And I believe in multiculturalism. I believe you do as well. For someone who is listening to misinformation and buying into false narratives and looking at sound bites and for clickbait online, what advice would you give them of how to move forward in a environment of misinformation about other cultures and narratives, and specifically about the Somalian American community?
That's a heavy question. I would say, yeah, the narrative around the Somali community, especially today, is really hard. Um, our current president doesn't do a really good job of portraying this in the best light. But what I would say about my people is, like, we're some of the hardest workers, we're some of the kindest people, we're like everything I mentioned right now about kindness, optimism, and community. Like, my true values is through how I was raised, through my community and my culture. So every Somali person that I met is just like me. Like, they'll go above and beyond and, give you their last if they could. So yeah, I think it's just really important for people to understand that and not take what they see online as face value, because you read all these headlines, and especially with AI today, anyone can create anything and add your face and make it real. So yeah, I would say don't believe what you read online and do your research and meet a Somali. We're great people.
I appreciate that. And I'm so glad that God gave us the opportunity to speak today. And I just want to reaffirm from the audience that, it is really our responsibility who we focus on and what we use as narratives to learn about other cultures and people. And it's been a blessing. And I'm excited for your excellence to continue to thrive and to inspire everyone that's shared this conversation with us today. So thank you, Yasmin.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, no, this was beautiful. And I'm just thankful to be a part of this. So thank you so much.